Of your 10 billion public infrastructure investment fund. I want to know from you, Honorable Nominee, how much of the 10 billion shall be raised in each year, and how will that fit under the debt ceiling manifesto, the debt ceiling in your manifesto, because you are proposing a certain debt ceiling. You are also talking about raising this 10 billion. I want to know how you intend to go about it and how much of same each year. Thank you.
Nominee.
Mr. Chairman, the policy will be submitted to Parliament for approval. The big push policy will be submitted to Parliament for approval.
Thank you very much.
In it, we'll give you the breakdown, how it's done, how we are going to raise money, and when we are going to start, and how much goes into each year. So the details will be provided to this House.
Thanks. Any further question?
Chairman, the nominee has two major interventions to make to meet a policy. Let me start with the first one. With the free university tuition for first years, I understand the university students are starting their semester 1 now. Are you going to implement it now, the free first year tuition for university students? Are you going to implement it this academic year, which has just begun, and would you factor it in your budget, which you are going to present? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, proceed with the answer.
Mr. Chairman, first, I'm not yet the Minister of Finance.
University students are starting their semester 1 now. Are you going to implement it now, the free first year tuition for university students? Are you going to implement it this academic year, which has just begun, and would you factor it in your budget, which you are going to present? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, proceed with the answer.
Mr. Chairman, first, I'm not yet the Minister of Finance. Second, Mr. Chairman, I have to be at the ministry to assess the situation and introduce government policies accordingly. My responsibility as Minister of Finance will include mobilizing domestic revenue to fund government projects or government flagships. I will do that, not alone, but working with Cabinet. I'm mindful of our manifesto promises, and I should be the one to be able to recommend same to government if we can afford it. And as long as it's in government manifesto and there are timelines to it, I commit to it. I commit to it, and we'll do just that. But let me get to the ministry first, and let's see what we can do.
Thank you.
So, Chair, Honorable Nominee, are you suggesting that you have not considered the costing of this policy, the free tuition for first year university students?
Chairman, that is very wrong. I've never said that. It doesn't matter the costing. It must fit into a framework. And I have to get into the ministry first. I can't pretend to use this podium to read the national budget. This is not a budget. Let me get there so that I can present the budget to you, and some of these policies will be appropriately.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, I would want a further clarity on this all-important policy. Your manifesto talks about tertiary. Tertiary is not only the universities, but post-secondary institutions that award diplomas, certificates, in my view, are tertiary institutions. So you have nursing training institutions, nursing, you have the colleges of education. Are they all going to be factored in the free first-year tuition to avoid discrimination?
Mr. Chairman, I think I've made this point already. I'm not yet in a position to make policy pronouncement on behalf of the government. I'm only a designate, a nominee. And you need to approve me first. Give me the power to be able to make policies and announce to you policies. Mr. Chairman, you may ask the Honorable Minority Leader to file a question so that I can come and answer when I become the minister.
Thank you very much. You have to file a question.
Chairman,
after approval.
No worries at all. But you see, a distinction must be made. There are matters that you need to get to the ministry to enable you have it handy. And those are not the ones I'm asking you. These are policies. And being part of a political party leadership, I know what goes into manifesto pledges. We had hints many months, or if not a year or two ago, that you were leading the economic team of your party. We know. Therefore, you've always known about this policy. It didn't just get into your manifesto. What I want to know from you are facts within your domain, whether the colleges of education, colleges of agriculture, colleges of nursing, and other institutions that are tertiary institutions are part of this free first-year tuition. That is what I want to know from you, because you know what is tertiary when you were drafting the policy. That's what I want you to tell me, not something that you will get to know upon arriving at the ministry.
Leader, with all due respect, the word tertiary is unambiguous. You are just calling on the nominee to give you an interpretation of tertiary. I think we should give the word tertiary its ordinary meaning, and then we can proceed.
Chairman, thank you very much. I can understand where you are coming from. But you see, we are a political class, and we are dealing with a social intervention deliverables. Those watching us would want clarity, and that is all I seek to do, so that somebody at Legon would not assume that university is university and that he or she will benefit. But somebody at the nursing college in Winneba who is doing a diploma in nursing would think that because they did not explain it, he or she will not benefit. So I know you had the benefit of knowing what tertiary means at the time you were drafting this policy, when you said you would give first-year tertiary students free tuition. You pay for them. Government will pay. So parents would not need to pay at all. You know? So I just want the clarification.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's unambiguous in our manifesto what we said. I do not seek to reinterpret what is in the manifesto. And it's as clear as possible. In the next budget, if you have any doubt, we can clarify those in the next budget. Thank you.
Fair enough, Chairman, fair enough. So let me come to the next leg of this social intervention, the free SHS. So you have promised that you will extend it to the private secondary schools. You are going to be a major advisor to government. Have you planned, do you have a plan as to the number of students in the private secondary schools? And If so, have you looked at the cost?
Mr. Chairman, the number of students in the private school as at yesterday cannot be the same as today. It moves. So whatever target or whatever costing that was done was done with the data as at the time they did the assessment. I was not part of the group that did the assessment. Today, we are in office. You need to look at the data, the number of people concerned, and how much you are paying. Let's get to office. The president is only 2 weeks, it's less than 2 weeks old, it's 1 week old. Let's get to the office, and then we can start work. There's no minister at post as we speak. And so you need to help the president to constitute his cabinet as soon as possible so that they can advise him for him to come to Parliament to deliver his State of the Nation address. Thank you.
So, the private secondary schools that you propose to extend free SHS to is going to include Ghana International School, Lincoln, Association, because all these are private schools, secondary schools. Are you going to include them?
Well, the nominee is capable of answering the question. Other than that, private school is private school.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware that Ghana International Lincoln and the text WASI, they don't write WASI. I'm not aware. I'm not aware that Ghana International School goes through West Africa Examination Council. They do GCSEs and A-levels and others. I'm not aware that you can equate Lincoln with a school fees of $30,000 to Achimota School. I'm not aware of that. The Chairman, let's get to work. And when we get there, we'll present to this House a comprehensive program. The Chairman, the previous administration was unable to pass the free SHS bill. You are aware of that. And, Mr. Chairman, we will regulate this free senior high school policy properly to make it sustainable, so that it becomes part of our nation's development. I think His Excellency the President has made this pronouncement, and so we'll do what we have to do. The Honorable Minority Leader knows me well, that I'm a man of my word, and I can give him that assurance that whatever it takes, we'll come to this House and seek your approval.
Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Is the nominee fully aware that in respect of the promises by his party in the health sector, the party engaged an independent body, which body gave it a minimum cost of 18 billion? Are you aware of this? And do you agree to that? The health sector promises that your party
Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware. The only thing I'm aware of is during the transition, I was told that Agenda 111 would take $1.5 billion to complete. But I'm not aware of this 18 billion. I don't know.
Are you committed to completing the Agenda 111 with that that amount? Are you committed to that?
Mr. Chairman, the immediate past government was in office for 8 years. They announced the Agenda 111 in 2020. We were told they were going to complete it within a year and two. The Chairman, this is 4 years. They have not been able to complete Agenda 111. We have huge debt awaiting the next government. What we know is that His Excellency the President has committed that he is going to complete all ongoing projects. I'm a servant of the President. I'll be his minister if approved. And so when you approve me as minister, I'll assess the situation. I'll find out what you are leaving behind. and be able to advise the president appropriately. But at the moment, I'm not in a position to advise him because I do not have the full data of what is the true state of Ghanaian economy.
Thank you.
Chairman, I have the last two for my respected brother and colleague, and I'll call it a day. Leader, your government has indicated that its financing needs will be alleviated from second quarter in 2025 as debt service payment to bondholders resume. Considering that T-bills will not be sustainable to meet the financing needs, tell us what strategies you intend to pursue to meet the high financing needs without jeopardizing debt sustainability.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, financing is a function of the budget. If you throw out a huge deficit, you have to finance it. So you have to throw out the deficit first. We don't intend to throw out an unsustainable financing, where the gross financing needs is in a way that if you go to the market, you will not be able to finance and put further pressure on the market. So, as I've said, we'll front-load the fiscal consolidation on expenditure base. So let's introduce the budget, and when we introduce the budget, we'll know the financing needs, and we'll make sure that we'll be able to finance our budget. But there are options. There are options. We'll work with our development partners. There's World Bank, there's IMF, there is EU and all. So if there's any financing need, aside the market, both domestic and external, we'll be able to tap into the financing, our financial request from the development partners. So these are options that we can do.
Now, as a follow-up on that, I'm quite curious. So how would you raise this 10 billion without borrowing? This 10 billion, you had indicated to me earlier that you will present your plan to Parliament, and in that we'll know as a House how much you intend to raise each year. Now, you are so sensitive to your debt servicing strategy. Now, how do you intend to still achieve this without borrowing?
Mr. Chairman, I've never said we are not going to borrow. I've said that financing needs are a function of the budget. And it depends on the fiscal deficit you throw out. If you throw out a fiscal deficit of 10% of GDP, you have to finance the 10%. Where are you financing the 10% of your GDP? Are you financing it from debt? And if it's debt, what kind of debt? Is it domestic, T-bills, or long-dated? Is it external or kind of? So I'm saying that your concern will be dealt with the kind of financing we throw out. If we throw out 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, and the market can accommodate it, so be it. So let's look at the options available. But all of this will depend on your financing needs. So for us, fiscal discipline will be the anchor. And we'll be mindful of the market needs and what the market can accommodate.
Thank you.
Chairman.
I thought you said two questions.
No, there was a follow-up. Chairman,
so is that the last question?
The nominee has addressed us on some key issues, and I'm happy with his approach thus far. I would want to ask him, he's aware that a key development partner, the IMF, entered into some agreement with us. And in that agreement, they required of us to put in place certain measures. He is aware that the e-levy and the betting tax and other taxes he considers are nuisance taxes have been captured as part of our revenue sources in this agreement with the IMF. So government really has no unfettered discretion. How do you justify the repealing of these tax laws without hurting the very agreement that you have with the IMF? You think, in other words, you think that you can freely repeal these tax laws and without introducing a new revenue measure, the fund will be happy with you and will not see that your repealing of these tax laws amount to breaching an existing agreement with them? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the IMF did not ask the former government to introduce e-levy. The e-levy was introduced before the IMF program. And so the IMF did not ask you to introduce e-levy. The betting tax was also introduced by yourselves, not the IMF, not an IMF prescription. The IMF will give you a fiscal deficit to achieve. It is up to you how you achieve it, and we'll do just that. But let me say this.
Okay, sure.
But let me say this, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the NDC government recognizes that there is an IMF program. We are committed to implement the IMF program. We are also committed to achieve the objectives of the IMF program. We are not going to jettison the IMF program. We'll implement it. It is an agreement between the Republic of Ghana and the International Monetary Fund. Today, we are in government. We have a responsibility to implement it. I'm on record to have said that we will implement the IMF program. And so we'll implement the IMF program. We are not running away from that. And so whatever it takes, we will not run away from the implementation of the IMF program. And we'll implement it to the latter and achieve the objectives of the IMF program.
So, Chair, is the nominee therefore suggesting to us that repealing these tax laws, these taxes that he considers them nuisance, repealing them without introducing new taxes or other forms of taxes in their place will not amount to breaching the IMF agreement?
Mr. Chairman, you can rake in other form of revenue through compliance. You can use compliance measures to bring in additional revenue to replace these taxes you are removing.
Finally, leader, your government is proposing overhauling the existing foreign exchange regime
of policy proposals that will tie the monetary policy regime. I think we should leave that to the central bank and the governor or the next governor to be able to have the power to deal with monetary policy, particularly the management of our foreign exchange. But I'm on record to have said that the Bank of Ghana alone cannot be left to anchor the currency. It doesn't mean we are going to micromanage the foreign exchange regime. It means we are going to coordinate with the Bank of Ghana. So we'll coordinate effectively with the central bank to be able to manage Ghana's foreign exchange regime. That I know we will do.
Chairman, just a follow-up. You see, leader, your manifesto did not say that this is a mandate of the central bank. You will come up with a lead policy, which policy have a far-reaching consequences on the economy. The central bank would only look at you as an arrowhead and implement in a direction that the government policy so directs or chooses. So I think that to run away from it may be a bit unfortunate. It cannot be said by you as the holder of the purse that this is a matter for the central bank. Please, at the time you crafted this and engraved same in your policy, you knew what you wanted to achieve. The people of Ghana do not want to get the impression that you did matricle, because you said it on good authority that this is what you are going to do. So I want to know from you whether indeed, as the head of the Exchequer, you are committed to this, and not to say that it's a duty of the central bank.
Mr. Chairman, I was trying to refer you to the constitutional provision of the Bank of Ghana. And we all know that the Constitution mandates the central bank to manage the central our foreign exchange. Mr. Chairman, our manifesto did not say the Minister of Finance would be the one to manage the foreign exchange regime. No. We announced our economic policies. And you know that it takes both monetary and fiscal to manage the economy. It's not only the Ministry of Finance that manages the economy. And so it's the two of us. And so, Mr. Chairman, I want to jealously guard the independence of the central bank when it comes to monetary policy formulation. Monetary policy formulation and the management of the foreign exchange. That is in their purview. Let's respect it. Allow the next governor or the governor to deal with it. Mr. Chairman, I so submit.
Thank you for your question. I am told.
Chairman.
Oh, do you have a further question? Leader, you said two more.
Chairman.
And you've asked three. You have a further question.
Chairman, since the nominee has referred us to the Constitution, and we also have the manifesto promise of his party, it is important we reconcile. If at all material times the nominee knew that the foreign exchange regime, the policy is squarely under Article 183 of the Constitution, and that is under the control of Bank of Ghana, then why did his party commit to this in a manifesto? Because the manifesto did not make that reference, and you introduce it as a government policy to be led by the finance minister. And you're on record to have chastised the former finance minister, Mr. Kenuforiata, when we had issues with our currency. The blame was on him as the finance minister. I remember the famous Ken Must Go. I remember. Oh, can I finish? Oh, can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish? The duty, a certain British politician once said, the duty of His Majesty's opposition leader is to oppose. Rather, and we are opposing with all the energy in us, and we are being reasonable.
Question.
But
let's take the last question.
Please, let's finish. But if the heckling is coming from the majority, then we have every cause to be concerned. Please, let's finish this.
Nobody is talking. You have the microphone.
Okay, I hear you. Thank you. So my question to you is this. When we had the depreciation of the cedi, your side in Parliament chastised the finance minister for not showing leadership in managing the cedi. To you, it wasn't about Bank of Ghana. And I'm saying that today, in your manifesto, you have re-echoed that same policy. And if you are now going to quote the Constitution to say that that is going to be the responsibility of central bank, then my question to you is that, did you mislead the Ghanaian people when you engraved that in your manifesto?
Mr. Chairman, that is inaccurate. Mr. Chairman, let me also refer you to the same Constitution, Article 184, 183, 1834. Mr. Chairman, it says the following shall apply to the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. He shall be appointed by the President, acting in consultation with the Council of State for a period of 4 years. Mr. Chairman, the Governor will have to be appointed by the President. The Governor will have to subscribe to the ideals and the vision of the President in foreign exchange, the foreign exchange management. The President has a social contract. He signed a social contract with the people of Ghana. His appointment or his appointee must reflect exactly that. And so, Mr. Chairman, we have not heard the same Constitution talking about the mandate of the central bank says that the President must appoint the Governor. And so you have to appoint someone who subscribes to your ideals, someone who buys into your vision. And so he's going to appoint someone he believes will do what it takes. And so that will be done. That will be done.
Thank you very much. You are going to, Chairman, he's introduced an important matter. There's a central bank governor. We have a governor of the central bank.
Who has mismanaged the bank?
Yes. He's going home.
The central mismanaged
gone by now.
The mismanager of the bank, not the manager.
When is his tenure coming to an end?
Chairman, you should be telling us, but I know he has had his 2 terms, 2 maximum terms, and he has some months to go. So certainly within the next 4 years, the President will have the opportunity to appoint a governor.
I mean, after he has retired?
I am not appointing authority.
Pardon? No. Mr. Chairman, we need some protection here. The majority, exactly. Honorable nominee.
Chairman, I have a point of order.
Honorable nominee, you are telling the committee that the governor has some few months to go. I want to ask you that this new appointment you are referring to, would it be after his retirement?
Honorable members, the Constitution states clearly the tenure of office of the governor. So definitely what the nominee is saying is that within a period, it will come to an end and the President will have the opportunity. This issue as whether when exactly it will end is not a question for the nominee to be asked.
Chairman, I think your ranking member is done.
Yes.
So if you raise new issues, you may invite him again.
Yeah, so honourable members, it's now my turn to answer a question, to ask a question, but I have no question for the nominee. I will use the period to acknowledge the presence of some guests in our midst who are here to give moral support to the nominee. They are Nana Efua Esiwa II, Paramount Queen Mother, Ejumako, Ama Forsen, sister to the nominee, Kwesi Forsen, Kojo Forsen, brothers to the nominee, Sechiwa Claudia, sister, Reverend Pa Kojo, brother, Mr. Afrifa, brother, Professor Ferdinand Ahiakpo, staff, James Ajenim Boatin, staff, and Professor Jonathan Annan, Ejumako Enyan, SCM constituency chairman. May I have the privilege to say you are most welcome. Honourable members, let me use the opportunity to thank the nominee for attending upon the committee. Honourable Minister Designate, you are discharged, but you will surely hear from the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I just want to say a word. Mr. Chairman, today you did not treat me like the majority leader of the Ghana's parliament, but I recognize that this had to happen because I'm going to serve
Sensitive position.
in a very sensitive position. I recognize that. Thank you.
Yeah. Members, we'll have 30 minutes break to ourselves. We'll resume. Yes. Yes, 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Okay, let's make it. Energy.